I never thought I'd be telling anyone about what happened. But now that it's all over and I'm left alone, it seems pointless to keep the truth hidden. Maybe writing it down will help me understand what went wrong and why I ended up making such a choice. Or maybe it'll just help someone else avoid the same mistakes. Either way, I think I should start from the beginning, from before everything changed. When Rob and I got married, I honestly thought it was going to be a fairy tale. We loved each other. We were expecting our first child, and we had all these dreams about our future. He was the perfect husband, caring, attentive, and despite me always saying I needed more independence, he was a great partner and an even better father. But, as strange as it sounds, over time I started to feel like something was missing. No, it wasn't a full-blown problem, but just a sense of boredom that slowly crept in. Rob and I had everything anyone could want. We found our dream house, a cozy little place with a garden, the kind of home I'd always imagined. And our son, Tyler, was everything we'd hoped for. He was a beautiful baby, and Rob couldn't have been more thrilled to finally be a dad. I saw how he cherished every moment with Tyler, how he was always there for him. And I admired him for it. He was the kind of dad I had always wished I'd had. But with time, something changed in me. It wasn't that I didn't love Rob, or that I didn't appreciate everything he did for me, but I started to feel like I was losing myself. I had become so wrapped up in taking care of the house and the baby that I forgot who I was before. I wasn't the fun, spontaneous woman Rob had fallen in love with. I was just a mom now, and I couldn't ignore that it started to feel like a role I was stuck in. One night, after putting Tyler to sleep, Rob and I were sitting on the couch, watching a show we used to enjoy together before everything changed. But now, it felt like we were just going through the motions. I couldn't stop thinking about how we used to have these amazing conversations, how we would laugh for hours, how everything felt so exciting. Now, it felt like we were just passing time. I broke the silence. Rob, have you ever thought about, I don't know, doing something different? Like, something out of the ordinary. Just for us. He turned his head toward me, raising an eyebrow. What do you mean? Like a trip or something? No, not a trip. I mean, something that would shake things up a bit. I don't know. Maybe we could go to a party or try something new. It's been so long since we've done anything fun, anything spontaneous. Rob smiled gently. What are you getting at? I hesitated for a moment, unsure if I should say it out loud. But then I thought, what the hell? It's just an idea. Right? There's this event coming up. It's a swingers party. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not about cheating or anything. It's more about freedom, exploring new things. I just think it could be fun. Rob's face froze. He looked at me like I just suggested something completely absurd. I could feel my pulse quicken as he opened his mouth, obviously preparing to shut me down. No, absolutely not, Sarah. I'm not doing that. We're not doing that. What about Tyler? Who would take care of him? I hadn't expected him to be so upset. The calm, easygoing man I'd married was now suddenly defensive, as if I had asked him to do something far worse than what I had actually suggested. Rob, we could figure something out for the night. My sister could stay with him, or we could just hire a sitter. I'm just saying, it's been forever since we've done something out of the ordinary. He shook his head, running his hands through his hair. You're not hearing me. I'm not going to a party like that. I don't care how you try to justify it. We have a baby now, Sarah. We're parents. I don't want to get mixed up in that kind of thing. My stomach twisted. I could feel the frustration building inside me, a combination of disappointment and anger. Why are you being so closed-minded about this? You're not even willing to try. You always complain that we don't do anything exciting anymore. And now, when I'm suggesting something, you shut it down. We sat in silence for a moment. I could feel the tension thick in the air, and it wasn't just about the party. It was about something deeper, something that had been simmering beneath the surface for a while now. Our relationship was stuck, and I didn't know how to fix it. Forget it, I said finally, my voice barely above a whisper. I guess we'll just keep doing the same thing, day in and day out. Rob didn't respond, and I could tell that he was frustrated, too, but neither of us knew how to change things. I wasn't ready to give up, though. I wasn't ready to just accept this boring, predictable life we had. So, I decided to find another way. Later that week, when Rob was out running errands, I got a call from Jake, Rob's best friend. Jake and I had always been close, even before I married Rob. He was the kind of guy who always had a sense of adventure, someone who lived life on his own terms. I knew he wasn't in a relationship, and he wasn't afraid to take risks. He was also, at the time, one of the few people who could understand what I was feeling. "Hey, Jake," I said, trying to sound casual. "How's it going?" "Good, good. I was actually about to head over to Rob's. But what's up?" "Listen, I need to talk to you about something." I paused, thinking how to phrase it. "It's about this party I was thinking about, and I want to get your opinion on it." Jake's voice became curious. "What kind of party?" I hesitated for a moment before blurting it out. "It's a swingers party, and I'm seriously considering going. Rob doesn't want to, but I think it could be interesting. I don't know, I just need something to shake things up, you know?" There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Finally, Jake spoke. "Wow, that's a lot. But honestly, if you think it'll help you feel better, I'm not going to judge. It's your life." I knew he wasn't judging me. He was more understanding than Rob had been. Maybe this wasn't the answer, but it felt like a start. I wasn't sure what I was doing, but I knew I needed to feel something different. Something that would make me feel alive again, and that's when it hit me. Maybe Jake could help me. I'm not proud of what I did next, but it felt like a rush of adrenaline I hadn't felt in a long time. After talking to Jake, I started seriously considering the idea. I knew I wasn't going to get what I needed from Rob. He was too set in his ways, too rooted in his responsible father mindset to understand what I was craving. I wasn't trying to destroy our marriage. I wasn't even thinking about hurting him. I just needed a break from the monotony. I needed to feel alive again. It was a Friday evening when I decided to go ahead with it. I called Jake and told him I'd be ready. I didn't want to tell Rob. I knew it would cause a fight, and right then, I just couldn't handle it. I'd already tried to talk to him about the party, and he shut it down without giving it a second thought. I figured I could go for just one night. Just one chance to break away from the life I'd gotten trapped in. I asked my sister, Lisa, to watch Tyler for a few hours. I felt guilty for not being completely honest with Rob, but I told myself it was just a one-time thing, and I'd be home early. I dressed carefully, wearing something that was comfortable but still a little daring. A deep blue dress, one I hadn't worn in ages, paired with some black heels. I looked at myself in the mirror, not recognizing the woman staring back at me. She seemed both foreign and familiar. When Jake picked me up, his eyes widened in surprise. "Wow, Sarah. You look amazing." He smiled, though there was something about his expression I couldn't quite place. "Thanks," I said, forcing a smile. "Let's just get this over with." The drive to the party was quiet, but there was an excitement building in my chest, an excitement I hadn't felt in years. I could feel the adrenaline coursing through my veins. We arrived at a private house, secluded on the outskirts of town. It wasn't the kind of place I'd usually go, but it felt like stepping into a different world. There were people in the front yard, drinking and chatting, some of them already in revealing outfits. I felt a mix of nervousness and curiosity. Jake led me inside, and the moment we stepped through the door, the atmosphere hit me. The music was low but pulsating, and the house smelled like expensive perfume and alcohol. People were mingling, laughing, and the air felt thick with anticipation. I could hear whispers, feel the heat of bodies pressing against each other, and it hit me, this wasn't just a party. It was an experience, a whole different lifestyle. I felt out of place at first, my nerves getting the best of me. But as the night went on, I found myself relaxing, the alcohol helping to loosen my inhibitions. Jake stuck close to me, always making sure I was okay. At some point, I lost track of time. The vibe in the house was intoxicating. People seemed so free, so unapologetically themselves. I couldn't remember the last time I felt that way. Then, it happened. I don't know exactly when or how it started, but I found myself alone with someone else. His name was Ben. He was tall, with dark hair and an easy smile. He wasn't pushy, just confident, and we ended up talking for a while. The conversation started off normal, just small talk. But then it shifted. The way he looked at me, it was different. I'd never been looked at like that before. Like I was a possibility, not just a mother or a wife. It felt good, and I was drawn to it. I tried to shake it off at first, but there was something about him. Maybe it was the attention, or maybe it was just the fact that I was finally feeling something again. We ended up in a quiet corner, away from the crowd, and without really thinking, I kissed him. The kiss was slow at first, just exploring, but soon it deepened. My body reacted before my mind could catch up, and before I knew it, we were heading upstairs to a bedroom. The room was dimly lit, and the only sounds were the music from downstairs and our own heavy breathing. It felt like everything else faded away. I didn't think about Rob, or Tyler, or my marriage. All that mattered in that moment was the feeling of someone else's hands on my skin, the heat between us, the freedom from everything that had been weighing me down. I know it sounds cliché, but for the first time in ages, I felt desired. I felt alive. I wasn't just a wife or a mom. I was Sarah again, the woman who could feel pleasure, who could make her own choices. Afterward, I lay there, my mind a jumbled mess. There was a part of me that felt guilty. That felt the weight of what I'd just done. But there was another part of me, a part I couldn't ignore, that felt exhilarated. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel suffocated. When I finally left the bedroom, I didn't know how to face Jake. I didn't know if I was supposed to feel ashamed or empowered. But what I did know was that I couldn't go back to my old life just yet. The drive home was a blur. My mind was racing with conflicting emotions. I didn't want to tell Rob what had happened. Hell, I wasn't sure I wanted to tell anyone. I wasn't sure I even fully understood it myself. I just knew that, for one night, I had stepped outside of the life I'd been living, and it felt freeing. I came home late, slipping quietly into the house. Rob was asleep on the couch, Tyler was in his crib, and everything seemed like it had before. Except it hadn't. I felt different. I felt like I'd crossed a line that I couldn't uncross. As I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I told myself that I would keep this to myself. Maybe it was just a one-time thing, something to break the routine. It didn't mean anything, right? It wasn't like I was going to leave Rob. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. I had stepped into a new world, and now I wasn't sure how to get out. The days after the party were a blur of guilt, excitement, and disbelief. I couldn't get Ben's face out of my head, nor the weight of what I had done. It was like I was carrying a secret that was slowly suffocating me, even though no one knew. The guilt wasn't just about what I'd done, though that was part of it, but about the person I was becoming. I kept telling myself it was just a one-time thing, a momentary lapse, but deep down, I knew I was lying to myself. Rob never suspected a thing. He was his usual self, distracted by work, content in his role as a father, and completely unaware of the storm brewing in my mind. We'd exchanged a few words, mostly about the baby, and life had resumed its predictable rhythm. But inside, I was struggling. I'd crossed a line, and I didn't know how to take it back. The more I tried to pretend nothing had changed, the more everything felt different. I kept asking myself why I did it. Was it just about the party? Was it just about the thrill of being wanted? Or was there something deeper, something about my dissatisfaction with the life I had? I hated feeling this way. I hated that I couldn't just be content, that I always felt like something was missing. But more than that, I hated how easy it had been to cross that line. It had been so easy to slip away from everything I had once believed in, just to feel alive again. And then, of course, the truth came out. It was a Saturday afternoon, about a week after the party. Rob and I were sitting on the couch, the baby napping in the other room, when there was a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I was a little confused when I saw who it was. Jake, standing there with his wife, Emily. "Hey, Sarah," Jake said, his voice unusually serious. "Can we talk for a second?" I didn't know what to expect. I smiled nervously and stepped aside to let them in, trying to hide the panic rising in my chest. As they entered, I noticed Emily's tense expression. She was usually so easygoing, but today she looked like she had something heavy on her mind. "Sure, what's up?" I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Jake looked at Emily, then back at me. He seemed uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot. "We need to talk about something," he said, his voice quiet. "It's about what happened last week." The blood drained from my face. I felt like I'd just been hit with a cold wave. My heart started pounding in my chest. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. What do you mean?" I asked, my voice shaking. Emily spoke up then, her tone more direct than Jake's. "We know, Sarah. We know about what happened at the party. And we think you need to come clean with Rob." I froze. I felt like the floor had just dropped out from under me. I stared at them, trying to comprehend what was happening. I wanted to deny it, to say they were wrong, but I couldn't. The guilt was too much, and my face must have given it away. "I'm sorry," Emily continued, her voice softer now. "But I think Rob deserves to know. This isn't something you can hide forever." Jake looked at me, his expression a mixture of concern and disappointment. "Sarah, you're my friend," I care about you, but what you did, it's not right. And Rob, he's my best friend. He deserves the truth. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. My throat felt tight, and all I could do was stare at them. I felt like a child caught in a lie, only there was no way out this time. Finally, I managed to speak. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was just one night. I didn't plan any of it. I don't even know why I did it. I could feel tears welling up in my eyes, but I didn't want to cry. I didn't want to look weak, especially not in front of Jake and Emily. But I couldn't stop myself. The weight of what I'd done, the shame of it, was crushing me. I thought it would help, I said, my voice barely a whisper. I thought, if I could just break out of this routine, if I could just feel something different, it would make everything okay. But it didn't. It didn't make anything better. It just made everything worse. Jake and Emily exchanged a look, but neither of them said anything right away. Emily finally sighed and placed a hand on my shoulder. I know you're going through something, Sarah. But you can't keep this from Rob. He deserves to know. And you owe it to him to be honest. I nodded, tears streaming down my face now. I knew she was right. Rob deserved the truth. But how could I tell him? How could I destroy everything we had built together? Just then, I heard the door to the nursery creak open. Tyler had woken up. I wiped my eyes quickly and tried to compose myself before Rob walked into the living room, holding our son. Hey, what's going on? He asked, his voice full of confusion as he glanced at Jake and Emily. Before I could say anything, Jake spoke up. Rob, we need to talk about something important. It's about Sarah. Rob frowned, looking at me. What's this about? He asked, a trace of concern in his voice. I couldn't do it. I couldn't let them tell him. It was too soon, too raw, too painful. I had to be the one to say it. But I felt paralyzed, like I couldn't move, couldn't speak. Rob? I finally choked out, my voice shaking. I made a huge mistake. Something happened at the party, and I was with someone else. The words hung in the air, and for a moment, everything went silent. Rob's face drained of color. His eyes flicked from me to Jake to Emily, and back to me. He looked like he'd been slapped. What? He whispered, his voice full of disbelief. I couldn't look at him. I couldn't bear to see the hurt in his eyes. I had destroyed everything. The life we'd built, the trust we'd shared. It was all gone in an instant. Rob, I'm so sorry. I said, my voice cracking. I don't know what came over me. I never meant for this to happen. But I did it, and I can't take it back. Rob stood there, frozen. Then, without saying another word, he turned and walked out of the room, taking Tyler with him. I could hear the door slam, and I knew that everything had just changed. My world had just crumbled, and there was nothing left but the wreckage of my own choices. I never thought I'd feel this empty. I always imagined that if something went wrong, if I made a mistake like this, it would be fixable, that there'd be time to make amends, to apologize, to explain. But now, as I sat there in the silence of my living room, I realized that there was no fixing this. No amount of words could undo what had been done. Rob left without a word, and I didn't try to stop him. I couldn't. I wasn't even sure if I had the right to ask for him to stay. He'd taken Tyler with him, and the emptiness in the house was deafening. I stayed on the couch for what felt like hours, staring at nothing. My mind kept replaying that moment. When I told him the truth, the look on his face, the pain, the disbelief. It was a look I never wanted to see again. When Rob left, I didn't know what to do. I sat there, numb. I wanted to reach out to him, to beg him to come back, to tell him how much I regretted everything. But part of me knew it was too late. It was too late for apologies, too late for explanations. I had destroyed everything, and now it was time to face the consequences. The next few days were a blur. I tried calling Rob, but he didn't answer. I texted him, left voicemails, even sent him messages on social media, but nothing. Complete silence. I didn't know where he had gone. I didn't know if he was staying with his parents or if he had rented a place, but I knew he needed space. Still, the silence felt like a heavy weight pressing on my chest. Every minute without hearing from him was like another piece of my sanity slipping away. It wasn't until the fourth day that I got a message. It wasn't from Rob, but from his lawyer. I'll be handling the divorce. The message said, cold and straightforward, please contact me to arrange for a meeting. That was it. There were no words of anger, no accusations. Just business. Rob had already made up his mind, and I couldn't blame him. What else could he do? I had broken every ounce of trust, every shred of loyalty. I had betrayed him in a way that could never be undone. The reality of the situation hit me hard. Rob was gone. My family was gone. And I was left to pick up the pieces of a life that I had destroyed. I still couldn't wrap my head around how everything had fallen apart so quickly. It felt like just yesterday we were a happy family, planning for the future, excited about life. And now, I was sitting in an empty house, staring at a future I had no idea how to face. The hardest part wasn't the divorce itself. It wasn't the fact that Rob had left. It was the thought of Tyler growing up without his father. I had broken our family. I had taken away his stability, his sense of security. I would never be able to undo that. I would never be able to explain it to him in a way that made sense. I tried to focus on the practical things. Contacting Rob's lawyer, setting up the divorce proceedings, figuring out custody arrangements. But everything felt so hollow. It was like I was just going through the motions. I was numb. I didn't know who I was anymore or who I was supposed to be. One evening, a week after Rob left, I was sitting on the floor of the nursery, folding Tyler's clothes. The house was quiet, too quiet. I thought about the way things had been before all of this. I thought about how Rob used to come home, tired from work, but always eager to pick up Tyler and hold him. How they would play together on the floor, Rob laughing as Tyler giggled in his arms. Those moments seemed so distant now, like a dream that had slipped through my fingers. I was jolted from my thoughts when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I didn't want to see anyone, not even Jake, though I knew he was probably just trying to check in on me. I stood up slowly, my legs stiff from sitting for so long, and walked to the door. When I opened it, I found Rob standing there. My heart skipped a beat, and for a moment I didn't know what to say. He didn't look angry. He didn't look sad. He looked blank, like he had made peace with the decision he had come to. "Rob?" I said softly, barely above a whisper. "What are you doing here?" He didn't answer right away. He looked past me, into the house, at the space that used to be ours, the place we had built together. Then, his eyes met mine. "I came to get Tyler," he said, his voice distant, almost mechanical. "I've found a place. I'm taking him with me." I nodded. I didn't know what else to say. What could I say? I was the one who had ruined everything. "Okay," I said, my voice trembling. "Take him. He's upstairs." I stepped aside, and Rob walked past me without another word. I felt like I was losing everything, piece by piece. He was leaving with Tyler. He was leaving with the life we had shared. And there was nothing I could do to stop it. I watched as Rob went upstairs to collect our son. My heart broke. But I didn't cry. I couldn't. I had cried so much already, and it didn't change anything. A few minutes later, Rob came back down with Tyler in his arms. Tyler was awake, his little face scrunched up, probably wondering where his dad was taking him. Rob held him close, his face unreadable. "I'll have the lawyer contact you about the next steps," Rob said quietly, his voice so distant, like he was already gone emotionally. "I'm taking full custody. I can't do this anymore, Sarah. I can't trust you." I swallowed hard, trying to hold back the tears that were threatening to spill over. But there was nothing left to say. Nothing that could change his mind. "Goodbye, Sarah," Rob said, and for the first time in a long time, his voice sounded empty. Like he was already mourning the loss of something he'd tried so hard to hold on to. He turned and walked out the door with Tyler, and I knew, deep down, that I had lost him. Forever. The sound of the door closing behind them echoed in my chest like a death knell. And as I stood there, alone in the house that used to be filled with laughter and love, I realized just how far I had fallen. I had made my choices, and now I had to live with them. I was alone, and I didn't know how to find my way back.